And new developments today in the Menendez brothers murder case. The extended family of Erik and Lyle are pushing for their release as prosecutors review their 1989 case. Today they gathered to make a statement outside of a Los Angeles courthouse. And that's where we find Scripps News reporter James Packard with the latest details. James.
Hey, Michael, it was an emotional day here for more than a dozen members of Erik and Lyle Menendez extended family as they called for the release of their family members, those two brothers who more than 30 years ago now murdered their parents in their Beverly Hills home. A letter that Erik Menendez wrote before those murders, now central to a review in the DA's office here. It's a letter written to Erik Menendez's cousin that corroborates claims the brothers made of sexual abuse at the hands of their father. That is evidence that was largely not heard at the trial that convicted them in 1996. When it was heard at a previous trial, it resulted in 2 hung juries. Now the family members say, despite the complication and their difficulty with coming to terms with what happened, they do believe the brothers were acting in self-defense and that they should be released. Listen to this emotional remarks, for instance, from Kitty Menendez's sister.
For many years, I struggled with terms with what happened to my sister's family. It was a nightmare none of us could have imagined. But as details of Lyle and Erik's abuse came to light, it became clear that their actions, while tragic, were the desperate response of 2 boys trying to survive the unspeakable cruelty of their father.
Now, the lawyers and the family members say that if this trial happened today, they don't believe that these brothers would have been convicted of life in prison without the possibility of parole. They believe that society's view of male victims of sexual abuse and rape, as well as a new law passed in 2008 here in California that guarantees different rights, constitutional rights to victims, including freedom from humility and a guarantee to be treated fairly, that those things combined would have meant that they would not have been convicted of life in prison without the possibility of parole, that they may have even been convicted of involuntary manslaughter, that this would have been held entirely differently, handled entirely differently, rather. I should also note there are political winds at play here. DA George Gascon here in Los Angeles is up in a tough re-election bid, the polls showing him losing that race, and there may be a political windfall here for him if he can release these brothers before that election. So the deadline is coming up, but I should note, despite the fact that there may be political undertones here, the family time and again, Michael, stressed that this is anything but a political matter for them. They want their family members out of prison after 30 years.
All right, James, thank you so much for that report. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, folks.